Okay, so hi everybody. I'm here with Jamyang Norbu, who's in Tennessee. Many people will know who he is. Guests and new visitors to the blog will not, or to the Tibet movement. He's a writer and a leader in the thinking on Tibetan independence and all sorts of other topics. And we wanted just to take a second and do a new sort of thing and ask Jamyang what he thinks about the actions that we recently took in Beijing, and then also the Olympics and Tibetan independence and the whole bit. So let's just start. Hi there, Jainla.
Hello.
So,
So,
can
mm,
you maybe just tell us what you thought of the action in the actions in Beijing, both the banner hang on the Great Wall and this blog, BeijingWideOpen.org.
well, can I tell you, uh, I really have to say, and I'm going to use a very youthful expression, so please forgive me. I thought it was awesome. Uh, and especially not only your banner hanging on the Great Wall and your blogs there, the fact that you managed to keep up a kind of a whole conspiracy going there with all these Chinese secret police following you. But also, your action on the Mount Everest base with Tendor. I really thought it was tremendously courageous. And I've talked it over with some friends. People have been calling me after that, and it's really been wonderful because our conversation, in recent weeks, it's not been about, what Samdom Rinpoche has been saying recently and stuff. It's now been more positive about what you guys have been doing, and everyone's been thrilled. But there's something like people say, well, at least you guys had American or Canadian passports, so maybe it wasn't that dangerous. But on this, I must really beg to differ. I think it is absolutely scary to just go there and do this. And I think it was very courageous of you. Of course, I don't think you're foolhardy or anything. You had planned it out. The dangers were not really maximal, but at the same time, they could not be discounted. China has a record of doing uh, absolutely strange things when it comes to dissidents. Sometimes even shooting itself in the foot. But they've arrested people with American green cards and passports also, Chinese dissidents. So it could have happened to you. But more than everything, more than all the action, because these things you will do different things again, and I'm positive SFT will carry on. You know, and onto pastures anew. But at the same time, for me, what really made me really happy was how you defined your action, how you defined your goals. You, Tandor, and the others consistently said that you were representing the struggle for Tibetan independence. You weren't mealy-mouthed about it, because there are, courage is sometimes, there are different kinds of courage in some ways. Courage to perform an action like this is indeed admirable. Yet at the same time, to have a kind of long distance courage, the courage of, let's say, a marathon runner, to hold a goal in spite of your negative public opinion, in spite of the fact that it's not politically correct at the moment in our society, in spite of the fact that by holding the goal of independence, you are denying yourselves many advantages in Tibetan politics, Tibetan society, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
even terms of getting scholarships or advancements in Tibetan community. So
So,
to do this, to have this courage to speak out for what is absolutely a true cause, I think is also shows the maturity of your courage. So
what do
for
you
me, it was really wonderful.
So, what do you think the action, the impacts have on the Chinese like the leadership or the government in relation to the Olympics and in general on on the Tibetan question?
No, for the Chinese leadership, I think the action that you guys undertook just showed them clearly that the Tibetan issue is not over. The Tibetan question is not finished, it's not dead. Like they hope, and they express this hope, Chinese leadership, entire leadership, that when the Dalai Lama passes away, that the Tibetan question is finished. But what you have shown, especially by even, the mere fact of that all the activists, the Tibetan activists, this for young people, is that the Tibetan issue will never be over, even when His Holiness passes away, until the issue can be resolved, in a just and equitable way for the Tibetan people. Never be resolved. So that, I think, was really important to make that statement. One mustn't exaggerate the importance of one action like this, because it is just one act, in a long series of battles that we still have to fight for Tibetan freedom. But for the public, especially, I think Tibetan public, it was wonderful. It was a real wake-up call. I'm sure you must have experienced it yourself, like meeting other Tibetans and how excited even older people and younger people were by what you had done. And I'm sure you must have had many hugs and, tears from the whole community. So I don't need to go into that, but it really was a wonderful thing for us.
And that's actually something that I want to ask you about, because we have had an overwhelming response from Tibetans, and it's clearly encouraged people, it's clearly inspired, feelings of hope and possibility in the general population in exile and inside Tibet. And we've heard, unsolicited, we've heard amazing feedback from inside Tibet, from Tibetans, indirectly through this or that source, just saying, wow, this really was amazing. It was so great to challenge the Chinese like this, and all sorts of great and glowing things. But we have had criticism both for Everest and for this action from actually only non-Tibetans, and in particular some people who work inside Tibet in different fields, either research or development. Really strong criticism that we've heard via the grapevine, and actually some direct emails attacking us literally. And I wonder what you think about that, the difference between what seems like Tibetans feel and then these other people who really say, we care about Tibet, we know the situation on the ground, we're working to try to help, and you people are screwing it all up, you're giving false hope, you are, you're really damaging the lives of Tibetans on the ground inside.
I think that's absolutely ridiculous. A lot of these people, and I know them, people who are working for one organization or the other, NGOs, this, that, and the other inside Tibet. Many of these people, especially, and most of them, I think, are Westerners, who are doing something inside Tibet. First of all, there's a kind of proprietarial view of Tibet, and which is a kind of a remnant, I really feel, of the Western colonial idea when it comes to anything to do with Asians, especially Tibetans, because they're so cute. These people have this proprietarial idea about Tibet, that only they are the ones who know what is best for Tibet, not Tibetans. Because on the ground, the kind of reaction we get from Tibetans on the ground is that this was wonderful, that this should be done. Nearly all Tibetans that I know from inside Tibet, I have received telephone calls and, some contacts. Everyone is excited. The thing that these people cannot understand, a lot of them also are left sympathizers. These are people, many who believe that China will gradually become a democracy as long as we don't confront it, as long as we are careful with China and we do more and more business with it. Gradually, the Chinese will change, but which is absolutely ridiculous. Where does this, why should this idea apply to China and not to any other dictatorial regime in the world? The left, when it's a rightist dictatorial regime, the left always calls for, complete boycott. In South Africa, everyone's foaming in the mouth about not only economic boycott, but even cultural boycott. South African sportsmen are not even allowed to play soccer or join the Olympics at all. The left took this up with a vengeance. But now on the question, when Tibetans are oppressed as much as the blacks were in South Africa, and people say, no, we understand your problems, we understand how awful it is for you, but you must understand China. If you want to understand the Chinese, why didn't they try to understand the Boers? Why is it that the only wicked people in the world should be white, upper middle class or business type people? So I really feel with these people, it's totally a disingenuously. And first of all, these white people inside Tibet, these kind of NGOs, have no right to speak, for Tibet.